So, hello, everybody. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. So, thank you again for being with us. It's so wonderful to share our experiences with one another. The first session was really very successful. I'm sure this one will be too.
In right now. Okay, so everyone, please don't forget you can put questions and comments into the chat, and where the chat is being monitored so we can answer any questions that you might have. And here's Mike. Oh my gosh, the poor guy just literally ran up Broadway from Battery Park. So it's my pleasure to introduce Mike Morgenthau, President of the Guides Association of New York City, also known as GANYC. Founded in 1974. It's one of the most active and oldest tourist guides associations in New York City. Over 350 members. Mike is going to give information about that and about GANYC's recent activities. Mike, I just touched on TripCon for just a moment while we were waiting for you to come in. Mike has been president of GANYC since January 2024, and he previously served on the board as vice president, secretary, and a member at large. He's a native New Yorker, and he has represented GANYC at WFTGA conventions in Tehran, Tbilisi, and Syracuse. So take it away, Mike.
Great. Thank you so much, Emma. And yeah, hi, everybody. Nice to see you. It's hard to believe it's been a full year, so almost a full year since we were all together in Sicily. And today it's about -5 degrees Celsius in New York. So I'm definitely dreaming of Sicily right now. But in any event, it's really nice to participate. We always appreciate the invite from WFTGA. Yeah, just to kind of piggyback off what Emma was just talking about, we are the Guides Association of New York City. We are celebrating our 50th. We're just coming to the end of our 50th anniversary celebration this year. We were founded in 1974. We were actually founded as the Multilingual Guides Association of New York City. We were founded by guides who didn't give tours in English primarily. So that is very much our roots, and certainly one of the reasons why we're so happy to be part of the WFTGA and promote tours in all sorts of different languages. So it's been a very busy year for us. We did have a couple of celebrations. Our big party was in March of this year, and actually it led to some really cool things for us. We were able to parlay that into engaging with the New York City government in ways that we had not been successful in for as long as I've been involved on the board. I guess the lesson is everybody likes a party, right? That's basically how we got engaged with them. So as part of the party, we were able to get a proclamation. I believe the date was March 24th, 2024, was known as GANYC Day in New York City. So we have a nice proclamation sitting here in our office, which we still haven't put into a frame, but we'll get to that eventually, I'm sure. But what this really did, I mean, that's a wonderful, achievement for us to highlight what GANYC's all about. But what it really did for us was we were able to connect with the commissioner for what's called the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection here. It's basically the Consumer Affairs Bureau here in New York City. They're the ones who license tour guides in New York and regulate activities and draw up the regulations for the city, for tour guides in the city. And we have had a very, very active conversation with them almost since March about various things in our city in terms of regulations of tour guides, things that we're working with them right now. And of course, in a city like New York, everything moves very slowly, but we're working with them to update the administrative code, basically the laws of the city that govern tour guides. Believe it or not, they have not been updated since 1937. And the law actually says that tour guides can only charge $1 per person per tour. So basically, everybody who's a licensed guide in New York City is violating the law just because it has not been updated since 1937. So we have a very active government relations committee that is engaging on a regular basis with DCWP. I've been involved as the president in some of those conversations, but the idea is to update these regulations and rules and make sure that they're up to standard. We've also started having a conversation with them about updating the tour guide exam here in New York City, which hasn't been updated since 2003. So not quite as long as the laws themselves, but it is certainly a little bit out of date. That's going to be a very long-term project with a lot of stakeholders being involved. And my understanding is this is before I was a member of GANYC, but the last time this happened, it nearly blew up our organization because of a lot of infighting. So hopefully we've learned our lessons. And when we get to that stage, we'll be able to have a much smoother transition to the next iteration of the licensing exam here in New York City. I know that it's not the same everywhere, but here in New York City, it's the city that actually issues tour guide licenses. It's not GANYC. We basically, to become a member of GANYC, the first step is you have to be a licensed New York City tour guide. So we're really excited working with that on them. We've also been pushing them to crack down on unlicensed guides here in New York City. And for the first time in a long time, they've actually been doing a little bit of that. And the way that they've been approaching it is they don't have the staffing to concentrate on individual tour guides. So they've been cracking down on tour operators that hire unlicensed tour guides. And we know of at least one instance where a tour operator was given 30 days to show that all of their tour guides were actually licensed in New York City. So we feel that's a very positive step forward, and we look forward in the coming year to continuing to develop our relationship with the city of New York. The other major thing, I think Emma might have just been talking about this, so please, if this is repetitive, I apologize. But we just did have a major tour guides conference here in New York City called TripCon. Some of you might be familiar with their sponsors, Trip School, Mitch Bach, Alan Armijo, do a lot of tour guide training, and I know they've had some involvement with other associations, and I think the WFTGA. So they decided to do their first tour guide and tour director conference here in Brooklyn. So GANYC was very much involved. We offered several guides to give tours for them. Several of our members were panelists in their educational sessions. But the biggest thing for us, and this was something that I was very eager to do when I became president, was to bring back a job fair that we had inaugurated for a few years before COVID. After COVID, it kind of went away for kind of obvious reasons. But in partnership with TripCon and Trip School, we actually had an individual local tour guide job fair where we had close to 45 hiring companies there, which far exceeded anything that we had pre-COVID. We even had the United Nations come to look for tour guides, which blew us all away. And that was really, really nice to have them there along with us. They're looking for full-time guides who can be full-time guides at the UN that speak multiple languages. So it doesn't exactly fit everybody here. But the thing that I think is important to think about if you're doing events like this is we did not make this an exclusive event for our association. You had to pay to register to attend. It was $10 US for GANYC members. It was $20 for any other licensed New York City tour guide. And the reason we wanted to do that is to open up the tent and show the other tour guides here in New York City what the value is of joining our association. That's something that we've always done at all of the different job fairs that I've kind of always been in charge of since they were inaugurated back in, I think 2016 was the first one we did. And it's yielded results. People have joined our ranks because they found us through the job fair. It's nothing like telling people we're going to get them jobs to make them join our association, or entice them, I should say, to join our association. So we had 45 companies. Like I said, we had about 175 attendees. It was kind of split 50-50 between members of our association and members and licensed guides who are not in our association. So we'll see what that yields in terms of future prospects for members. We also reached out to all of the tour operators to encourage them to become industry partners. We do have an industry partner program for other parts of the tourism industry to become industry partners, and we can work with them on various initiatives and promote what they're doing. So we've already had 4 or 5 tour operators apply to become industry partners coming out of the job fair. So that was really exciting as well. In terms of looking forward, because I know this is not just about looking to what we did the past year, but what's coming up in the coming year, a few things that we have going on. First of all, our national convention, the NFTGA, and I know they presented a little bit earlier, they're having their convention in Philadelphia at the end of January. We are sending 8 emissaries from GANYC who are getting stipends from our association to attend the conference, and we're hoping to have many more members of the association go on their own to support our national conference, and also to be able to report back to all of our membership who are not able to join us at the meeting in Philadelphia. And for those of you who don't know the geography of the US, Philadelphia is a 90-minute train ride from New York City. So it's literally in our backyard. So we're hoping to have a lot of people there. Shortly after that, we're bringing back our awards ceremony. Some of you might have tuned into the awards ceremony when it was a virtual event. during COVID, but the last couple of years we've gone back to having an in-person event. It's the Oscars of our industry in New York City. We have about 12 or 13 different categories. We talk about things that are no longer around in New York anymore, and we give lifetime achievement awards to people in the industry and also people in our association. We just announced the date. It's going to be March 3rd of 2025. I don't know if there's going to be a live stream of that. We certainly, if there is, we will send that information out to the WFTGA for anybody who wants to join. But if anybody happens to be in New York in early March and you want to wear your tuxedo or your ball gown, you can come join us. It's always a lot of fun, and it's one of the spotlight events of our year. We put that on a one-year hiatus last year because of the time, energy, and money it took to put together our celebration for our 50th anniversary. But we always time it in late February, early March. This is our main activity to celebrate International Tourist Guides Day. It doesn't always match up exactly. This year, the venue that we're using didn't have availability in late February, so we're doing it in early March. But this is kind of our contribution to International Tourist Guide Day. And then the last thing that I'll mention, and then happy, I don't know if there's a Q&A or anything like that. This coming year, 2025, is the 400th anniversary of the founding of European New York. Obviously, there was a native population here long before the Europeans showed up, but 1625 is when the Dutch formalized the colony of New Amsterdam here in what is now New York City. So we have formed an ad hoc committee to try to plan some celebrations and special tours and things like that, and also to push along other elements in the city government, our DMO, NYC Tourism and Conventions, to try to get some plans in the works there as well. We don't really have a lot of concrete stuff. It's kind of coming together very slowly, but we're really excited for what this can do. But because first of all, who can celebrate the 400-year history of New York City better than the tour guides? But we're also excited that it's a chance for us to outreach to the city at large to kind of say, hey, we're here, this is what we do, this is what we bring to the city, and to help educate the 8.4 million people who live in the city about what the history of New York City is all about. So we'll certainly keep the WFTGA updated on any activities, certainly virtual activities that you guys might be able to zoom in on. But we're really excited for it, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun and something that's really going to increase the exposure of tour guides here in the city, which is one of our mission statements, to make sure people understand what tour guides bring to the city economically, socially, historically, and to encourage locals to take tours just like out-of-towners. So I don't know if I've used up all of my time, but that was pretty much everything that I wanted to talk about. So like I said, I don't know if there's a Q&A or anything, but happy to participate. And if anybody ever comes to New York, certainly reach out to us. We'd be happy to host you and talk about what GANYC is up to. So thank you so much.
Yes, Michael, you used all of your time.
I'm a tour guide. I like to talk, Christina. What can I tell you?
Yes, and you were not tired after a tour. So we really love to listen to what GANYC has done the past year, your plans for the future. It has been really a very inspiring session, all of the sessions up to now. Of course, we still have Monday